Welcome to the Mystic Millionaire podcast, where wealth is energy, success is a mindset, and abundance is your birthright. I am Danielle Amos, your host and mentor, here to help you unlock prosperity, embody confidence, and manifest a life you love. Take a breath, align with your truth, and let's manifest millions. Mary, thank you for being a guest on the Mystic Millionaire podcast. It's an honor to have you in the studio with me today.
I'm so excited to be here. I feel like just in our pre-talk, it was already flowing. And so I know this is going to be good.
So we'll put that in the behind the scenes, the subscriber. We call them our millionaires in the making. They get access to our conversation that, maybe we don't put everywhere. So for those of you that are subscribers, you'll have access to Mary and I, what we got to spend some time on before here. So let's dive in.
Okay, great.
We've got so much to talk about.
Let's do it.
So tell us a little bit about you. And I know we were riffing on and really connecting over this idea of hustling, and that we both were programmed to hustle for success.
Yeah.
I also would love to touch on your faith in Christianity and how you said deconstructed that. I'm fascinated to know what that means.
How much time do you?
Yeah, right. I know. I was just thinking that. So wherever you'd like to start, let's tell everyone more about you.
It's so fun to have these conversations because I can really viscerally remember if I were to rewind the clock and think about myself like Mary 1.0 or had you met me 15 years ago. And I have some images on my website because sometimes an image can speak louder than the story or, somebody telling you about their life. But I was 240 pounds, like rewind. I was dealing with insane anxiety and depression. I was in a marriage that was sucking the life out of me. And I had all kinds of autoimmune stuff going on. And I can remember the turning point, like for me, was reading Brene Brown's book. What was her first book? Daring Greatly. That wasn't her first one. I guess it was her second book. I read that and I remember this was before authenticity was a buzzword.
Yeah.
But she was talking about authenticity. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, what in the world? There was no part of me that was living authentically. And that book was really triggering for me.
Wow. I can relate. It's like not even knowing that it was possible. It's like not even knowing when you have a choice. Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Completely
I think
unconscious.
a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about just sort of the programming of growing up. And for me, I come from a family, I have 4 sisters. My dad is now has been a very successful entrepreneur. He was the first guy to come through and talk about having a platform and having a brand, personal brand, and was teaching people how to build their platforms. And so I kind of grew up with this idea that your life is sort of on stage. And I remember I'd leave the house and my dad would be like, remember who you are. You're a Hyatt, right? And I'm like, okay. And I knew what that meant. And there was a certain persona. There was a certain way I was meant to be in the world. And so I got really good at wearing different masks to please anybody and everybody. I was honestly a master manipulator.
It feels like a chameleon,
totally.
Depending on the situation, you would adapt to fit in, make it work.
Oh, I was really good at it.
Yeah.
And I remember I would, I'd be one way kind of forward facing. I was straight A student and president of this and president of my youth group and, whatever. And then behind the scenes, I was cutting class and drinking and making out with all these boys and doing all the things that felt really risky and kind of wild and felt just in some ways like really age appropriate, testing the boundaries or whatever. But that was certainly not accepted in my world. And I became a really good liar. Like I had a very duplicitous life and it all kind of came crashing to a head, at least that part of me, the kind of secretive part, when I met my now ex-husband and we were kind of having this relationship in secret and my parents found out that we were sleeping together and it ripped my family apart. Nobody could believe that I had this other life that God forbid I enjoy sensual sexual things or whatever. And it was really challenging. And so for a long time, my reaction to that was, all right, this is not accepted. I can't really show the true parts of myself.
Yeah, because would you say you in that relationship was the authentic you?
I
And
think
the
at the
way that you
time,
were
yeah.
showing up with your family
Right.
was the like posturing and fitting
Totally.
in. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was like living my best life over here with him.
Yeah.
And I doubled down after that on, all right, I'll just be what everybody wants me to be.
Okay.
And so it was like the total fawning response, like fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. I was an incredible fawner. Like I knew how to be pleasing to anyone, make my parents love me again, kind of get back into the family again. And I did pretty well with that until I didn't.
How long? How long did that last?
That was probably, I would say 6 or 7 years.
And so you're doing this, you're people pleasing.
Yeah.
And what's your body doing? Because you mentioned the weight, the autoimmune. Is this all a result of this people pleasing? Yeah. Because your body knows.
Oh, 100%. And I didn't know the mind-body connection at that time.
Yeah.
Like my ex-husband and I, we experienced a pretty significant trauma together early on. And so it was sort of a combination of not having any skills to deal with the trauma that we experienced, plus just not knowing how to be in alignment, not knowing how to be authentic, not using my voice. I would get sick all the time. I would get strep throat all the time. All these like signals and symptoms. I gained all this weight, autoimmune stuff. Knowing what I know now, had I been able to look at myself, I'm like, oh my God, this is so obvious. This is our body's language. It's speaking to us. But I didn't have that understanding. And so I just kept trying to fix myself.
Like Band-Aid solutions, looking at symptoms, going to doctors. Yeah.
And drinking a ton and taking pills and literally anything I could do to disassociate them out or fix myself, which obviously doesn't work very well.
Yeah. Well, when we're not going to the root cause.
So there was a point to all of that got so intense. And I think there's layers, right? Like I had sort of the first initial awakening that was, there's got to be more to life than this. Like I was getting to the point where I was ideating suicide and all of those kinds of things. And I was in my 20s. I mean, I was young and I kind of thought to myself, shouldn't this be like the best part of my life? I'm young. I should be out here doing things. And I wasn't. I was just debilitated.
And what's interesting, when you shared your story, you said, I was living my best life with him, but in secret. Yeah. And then my parents and my family, and then I put myself in line to meet their expectations.
Yeah.
People please. Then your body catches on that this is not authentic. Mary, this is not you. This is not you. And then there's complications. And then from there, what happens not living authentically, the ideas in your mind and the dark holes that we can go into.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like from an outside perspective, like you said, it's easy to see when you're in it. It's like, shouldn't this be better than what it is?
Yeah. Well, it creates a lot of confusion. Having done this work now for quite a while and coaching women around all of this, you start to notice, oh, these are these warning signs and symptoms of being out of alignment. One is self-sabotage in all different kinds of ways that can show up. For me, it was not taking care of my body. It was drinking too much. I ended up having an affair when I was married. So that was a huge way I was self-sabotaging, all to sort of try to use my voice, but in such a really painful way.
Well, it's almost like, I can't stand it, so I'm going to like blow it up. Like I'm not strong enough or have enough courage to get out.
Oh, so 100%. Yeah.
So how did you get out of the marriage? Was it did you use your voice or?
I finally did. I started, this time I was getting into holistic medicine and practices and sort of deconstructing my faith. So part of this journey was I started going to Peru, and I was really, let me back up. I guess before that, I became certified in Kundalini yoga, which was wild at the
Mhm.
time. I mean, it was very, especially in the South. I'm from Nashville. Very new to the South. This is, there's one studio in Nashville, and I mean, this was about as woo-woo as you could get. And I was like, I'm doing this. And thankfully, through doing that and using holistic medicine, I was able to completely heal my body from all these autoimmune things. And now knowing the science, I'm like, oh, I was dealing with trauma using embodiment tools, but there was no language around that at the time. But that's what we were doing. We were, we were breathing, we were getting into our bodies, we were meditating, we were really somatically healing ourselves. It was so powerful. And so I went on a retreat to Peru, and I think that at this time I was leading a retreat with a group of women, and we were in a sweat lodge and working with shamans, and we had done some plant medicine. And so everything is just ripe for all of your truths to come to the surface. And I'm leading this group, and I got the unbelievable strong message and download of I needed to leave my marriage. I did not want that to be what came through. Like, I didn't want to be, oh, you had this awakening and you have to get divorced, and that's just part of the process. I'm like, maybe, I can salvage something here, but it was crystal clear. And I remember getting out of the sweat lodge and just bawling my eyes out.
Yeah, when
and
you
just,
know, you know.
you just know.
Yeah.
You just know. And you're never ready until that exact moment that you go, I cannot deny this truth any longer. And so I never went home from that trip.
What?
He was traveling in Europe. I ended up going to Miami afterwards, and we got divorced.
Shivers.
Yeah, we got divorced several months later. We had just talked on the phone. So it was like we both left going on our separate trips and then never came back together. It was crazy. So, and then we were married for almost 10 years.
Wow.
So it was a significant relationship. But it's kind of what you were talking about before.
Yeah.
Being in alignment, there is no substitution for how freeing and liberating that feels.
Let's talk about alignment.
Okay.
So can you give me your definition
Yeah.
of alignment?
I like to think of it like if you were to go to a chiropractor and you think about your spine being in alignment, structural alignment, it is intact. It is whole. It is exactly how God, universe, whatever, knitted those bones and nerves together, that it is just perfectly designed and in alignment. And because of that, there's no pain, there's no abscesses, there's no sores, no pinched nerves. Like, it is an absence of pain. It's exactly structurally how it should be. And then when we get out of alignment, it's like we have that bulging disc, let's say, and it starts to pinch a nerve, and we are like, there's something off that is out of alignment structurally here. And so I love going to the chiropractor. So it's like, we bring that bone back into alignment. So for ourselves, it's like being the truest version of ourselves, curious and grounded and centered, playful, joyful, honest, in our integrity. And
That's a good word.
yeah, I mean, I think it's like not in a moral sense,
Yeah.
right? I mean, but in the sense of like, I am who I am, and my behaviors, my words, my actions are matching in alignment
Totally.
with who I say I am. It's our essence.
Yeah.
So being in alignment is really staying true to the essence and the core of who we are. That's how I would describe
love
it.
that. Okay.
Cool.
So I want to give you my
Yeah, please.
definition.
Yeah.
So I talk about with my clients alignment being an alignment, and I see the same thing when you said about the chiropractor, it's like I see a line down the middle of our being, like our physical being. And anytime we're out of alignment, and our emotions are our guidance system.
Yeah.
So it's like we come out, like almost like what you did with the spine. We come out, and we're then disconnected from our truth.
Yes.
And so and I say truth with a capital T.
Yeah.
And our highest truth is that truth of who we are as an infinite soul in this human body.
Yeah.
And that higher self, if you will, that extension of source or God. And that line can be seen if we live on different planes.
Yeah.
Spirit, intellectual, physical body. Those three have to be in alignment together. So your soul's purpose has got to line up with your thoughts and your feelings and then your actions.
Totally.
And then when that's in alignment, you're in integrity. And again, I love how you said integrity is not a moral thing, because I think people totally confuse that and collapse it. Integrity is being in the truth, being who you say you are, and being in alignment with your actions and your beliefs and the way you show up in the world, keeping your word to that truth.
And listen, it's not easy.
Oh, no, it's
it
not
is
easy.
so, I mean, I think that I talk about sort of the stages of alignment. And for me, the first is radical honesty.
Yeah.
Seeing where you're out of alignment, being able to admit the truth of where you are. I'm longing for something. I'm aching here. This is not enough for me.
And it's
All
to
of those things.
yourself. Like, it doesn't matter what you say to other people.
Totally. Yeah.
It's like, to thine own self, to quote Shakespeare,
Yeah.
be true.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and it doesn't matter at all what anyone else thinks.
No. And we know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can feel it. I mean, when you hit on your truth, there's no BSing your way through that. There's no way of pretending that, I mean, you know, we can do our best effort to ignore that or disassociate from that truth, but it's like,
it catches up to you.
Yeah.
Let's
You
be
just,
honest.
you know,
Yeah,
you know,
let's be
it.
honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's step one, radical honesty. Step two.
Oh gosh, now I've got to go into my archive.
Yeah,
my brain archives. I hadn't turned it on yet. I am drawing a complete blank.
Cool. Well, that gives us reason.
I was going to say that it'll come forward.
I'd like to talk about the radical honesty, though, the impact of not being honest with yourself. I also think being out of integrity and not honest with yourself, it really eats away at your confidence. Would you agree?
Definitely. Because there's an element of when we're not in our truth that we're self-abandoning.
Yeah.
And so that erodes trust with ourselves.
Yep.
And I can't tell you how I was a master at that. I was so good at that, of self-abandoning. It was like, let me do all the things that I know are not the things I should be doing, or not even should, but just that are out of alignment. My body would tell me that it needed something. I would deny it. I would ignore it. I wouldn't feed myself properly. I wouldn't love myself properly. I would push myself so hard. Like, I think that's one of the hardest truths I've had to come to grips with in myself, is seeing my own abuse to myself. And so much of that was wrapped in the hustle culture.
Yeah.
Of almost like, I remember telling my coach when I first started working with her, I said, it's almost like I'm riding this horse. The horse is my body and I'm the rider, and I'm there like whipping this horse into submission, and it's foaming at the mouth and it's dropping to its knees, and I'm just whipping it and like, come on, you got to do more. You got to do more. You got to be more perfect. You got to make more money. You got to, fill in the blank of whatever the more was.
Do you think that there's pride, or did you have pride at being able to withstand the pain, to be able to like for me, I wore it like a badge of honor that I was like the last woman standing, even like among the men. I like worked the hardest.
Right.
Willing to stay to the end.
Right. Totally.
Like be dirty, like, get my hands dirty and in it.
Yeah.
And here I am like bleeding, but
Right.
I wore it as a badge of honor.
Yeah. Well, we reward that.
Yeah.
In our society. It's by no accident is bred into us to feel prideful about that. And I think for me, it took a little bit of a different version. So my persona when I'm not in my truth is really over people pleasing, over giving, over helping. And so my version of that was like, I was the best helper. I did the most for people. I showed up the best in crisis. I was the person you would want, to the sacrifice of myself, my boundaries, my limits, my hunger, my sleep. It was like all like I felt very righteous in that, like I'll sacrifice anything for you. But it was such a coping strategy. It wasn't, part of that is authentic to me. I am like a very generous lover,
Yeah.
But to that extent, no, that was definitely a coping strategy.
And how much were you rewarded for that? Through
man.
family?
They loved it. They still love it.
Yeah.
That's the role I play in my family to this day, and I've gotten obviously way better at noticing myself and noticing, ooh, I'm giving too much here. Let me pull this back, or I need a better boundary. But the affirmation that I got from that, like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You're so amazing. We couldn't do it without you. You're the glue that holds it. Or that, that's the ego loves that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I imagine that would be part of the programming as well from the religion and.
Yeah. Well, the whole concept of being the good girl, that's real strong.
Yeah.
in probably a lot of different faiths, but
Totally.
certainly the way that I grew up, pretty conservative Christian. Absolutely. I mean, there was very clear instructions, in a way unspoken, but just through observation, really noticing like, oh, this is what it looks like to be a woman. And I come from a family of very strong women. Every single one of my sisters is an entrepreneur. They're all very successful. Very much all of us have been in our masculine energy. And just now our family's kind of going through this really cool kind of collective awakening into more of the feminine, which is really beautiful. And I wasn't sure that was ever going to happen, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So I'm like loving it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, like get ready. There's such an easier way of doing this and such a softer, more gentle way of being with yourself, with being with life. But
that's so cool.
It is really cool. It is really cool. And they're still in their faith and all of that. But there's a point, I think, that I hope if we're really seeking to do this work, that we come to the realization that way, it just doesn't work. It leads to burnout, exhaustion, self-sabotage. It breaks down at some point. My dad had a really huge heart attack a couple years ago. My sister had a lot of intense health issues. And so it's, okay, wait a second.
Yeah.
This isn't working.
Yeah. It's no longer the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the way, the feminine way.
Yay.
And what you found and how you help your clients get into alignment with this truth as well. And we say work smarter, not harder in our world.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you mean by that.
Well, I think we talked about over DMs, just this kind of idea of the answer that most people will tell you is that you need better strategy to be successful, which is the masculine way, right? It's the efforting, it's the execution, it's linear, check the boxes. And that feels really good. Like there's part of it, we obviously need some structure, but it's been so out of whack and so out of balance. And I think for women, we've forgotten that we have this incredible superpower over here for business that is our feminine energy. And getting in touch with that, I mean, gosh, what a process. Like what a journey. For me, it's been very much tied into my relationship with my body. And so I've been drawn ever since I started doing that Kundalini training, very drawn to there's something in my body here that knows more than my mind does, that is wiser than what I can try to get to analytically or logically. And it was just an intuitive feeling of like, there's like, go into the body, like start moving the body, start tapping into the body. And because I grew up so conservative, that is so not my norm. We didn't have school dances. We didn't raise our hands in church. Like I was very stunted in my relationship with being in my physical body. It was very, as a woman, it was bad. It was sinful, all of the kind of like overarching sexual conservatism. Oh, got it. So it's really been a relationship of how can I learn to access the wisdom of my body, my energy, my emotions, my sensations, my breath, sound, movement, and really learn how to be embodied, but see that as an asset rather than a liability. Because for so long, it was like such a liability. It was like, don't feel anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
which makes a lot of sense when you talk about the disassociation, drinking, like how to get out of the feeling that you were in.
Yeah.
You were taught not to do that.
I was terrified.
Yeah.
Like, it's so interesting. I was so afraid that two things, if I got into my body, one, they'd have to put me in a straitjacket. Like I was so scared to feel.
Interesting. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I was so worried what I'd find.
Yes, exactly.
Out.
Yeah. What is lingering below this surface is going to derail me to the point where I won't be able to recover.
Yeah.
And I find that with my clients. I mean, that is such a common fear of not having the confidence to process their emotions.
Yeah.
And because they don't have that skill set, it feels really big and really scary.
Yeah.
So that was one. I was like, oh my gosh, the emotions are going to flood me and I won't know how to recover. And because I had so much anxiety already, it was like, I don't think I can do more of this, Yeah. And then the second was really, I was afraid of my own sexuality. Like if I started to tap into that, which is really the Kundalini energy, really our life force energy, it was like I was afraid that it was so big in me, but it felt so almost like erratic, or I couldn't really trust it, or I didn't even know how to feel that without all the perceived consequences that would come from
shame.
that. So much shame. So yeah, a huge threat for that. And so like anything I could do to not feel what I was feeling.
Yeah.
But that ended up being the very thing.
Yeah. I love it.
And that has just continued to stretch me. I mean, even to this day, I just started salsa dance lessons about 6 months ago. And when I tell you, I was so afraid and I mean, like going into class every week, I'm so afraid because it's being in my body in a whole different way than I'm used to. I can do meditation. I can do yoga. I can do, a little bit of, that kind of on my own, but to do it with a partner and to soften and receive and follow, it's like, woof, it's like a whole other level. But to me, it's the wisdom is in our bodies. The answers, it's already in there. And it's just learning the nuances in the language of our bodies. Like, how is it communicating to me?
Yeah.
How do I interpret it?
Trusting what you're interpreting. I tattooed that on my arm this past year.
Ooh, yes, totally.
Yeah.
And it's so, man,
It's hard.
it's really hard. It's really hard. Has that been part of your journey to the body
Yes.
piece of it? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit different than yours. And definitely gone into Kundalini a little bit different again, but understanding the breath and very much the sexual energy, sensuality, and being okay to express that and explore.
Yeah.
And giving myself permission and moving through the shame. Like, this is not dirty. Like, I knew I needed to, but knowing that and prioritizing pleasure, to be quite honest with you. Like, and not only in sex, not only in the bedroom, I like the clothes I wear, the sheets I sleep in, the foods that I eat, and really listening. And if it doesn't feel good, I don't want it. It's like, this life's too short.
Totally.
Yeah. So really allowing my body to tell me what's
And that's
next.
even hearing that, like the sensitivity, that can take a long time to even feel into our bodies. Like when they've been numbed and we've been shut off to them for so long, it's like I'll do with my exercise with my clients and have them, drop into the body and notice what they feel. And at the beginning, it's like blank. It's like nothing. There's nothing.
Yeah. So for me, the past couple years with all the changes going on, I was completely numb. Like, that can so relate to the way that your clients show up or have shown up maybe before their work with you. And that the process of being really present and allowing myself to feel and then let go of the feelings that weren't mine has been huge.
Oh, that's a big one.
And I actually physically dropped weight. And what I noticed is that I was holding on. I think a lot of women do to protect themselves. So much weight, especially in the belly and the front.
Yep.
And my willingness to get present and I didn't change anything. I haven't changed diet.
Yeah.
Really.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah. When I lost so much weight, it was 100% protection. And people would have said, well, what did you do to lose weight? And I said, well, I dealt with my trauma.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I mean, because I no longer needed those layers of protection.
Yeah.
And I still work with that. I don't know that this work ever ends.
No.
I mean,
Agreed.
It's different.
And joy. I feel like joy releases so many pounds.
Yeah.
Being in the joy, prioritizing that pleasure. I'm like, come on. It's like,
totally.
Yeah.
Well, and I know for me, when I was 240 pounds when I started my Kundalini journey.
Yeah.
And there was no such thing as plus size yoga yet. Okay. So this is 2011, maybe, I think, when I was doing this. And I remember telling the teachers, hey, I haven't done yoga very long. I know I'm not your typical body for this. So I was kind of hoping they'd say shoot, do this a little bit and come back, in a couple years and then you'll be ready. But they were like, great, we'll figure it out. Come on. It was honestly the hardest thing to date that I have ever done physically. It was just really challenging for my body to do that work.
Yeah.
And after that, I started teaching classes and I was teaching plus size Kundalini yoga.
Wow.
And I had all these modifications that I had to do to create space for my belly and my breasts and be able to breathe and, just limitations that I had in my body for some of the movements. And I remember thinking I didn't want to stay necessarily in that space because I was starting to outgrow that version of my body. But I knew that part of my work was to accept that body.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to experience joy and pleasure and all of that in that body. Like, it wasn't in my future waiting for me. It was available now.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have been a future if you couldn't find the joy in it.
Yeah. And I think that was a real powerful lesson for me of being like, all of that, the fantasy is it's somewhere other than where I am.
Yeah.
It's in the next relationship. It's in the next client. It's in more money in my bank account, whatever. And what I know, because my clients are usually very wealthy and have very successful businesses, but it's like they got duped. The joy didn't come along with it. The pleasure didn't come along with it. I mean, they were still operating in those systems. And so I think one of the biggest things that we can do is learning, no matter where we are in our life, to prioritize pleasure in this, like you were talking, the little microwaves ways of the clothing, the candle in your house, the savoring what you're eating. I mean, it's just being present and available to that. But there's a tolerance that's tricky with that, letting ourselves actually feel that. Like, that was big for me. I had a hard time.
Talk to me about the tolerance. What do you mean by that?
So, like, thinking about nervous system capacity. So thinking about, like, how much good can I tolerate? And where do I limit myself? And where does it get to the point where it doesn't feel safe in my body any longer?
Yeah.
And same can be said with, like, the amount of money that we want to make.
Totally. Because, okay, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Like that, there's only so much pleasure I can hold, only so much joy I can hold. And it's at that point, actually, where the invitation is to let go and experience more bliss. But it almost feels like pain or like out of control feeling. Would you say?
Yeah. I think there's different ways of doing it. Like, one of the things because that can be too much for people, right? And it's like, I've heard about people having their chakras blown open or, having a Kundalini awakening, and it wrecks their life. It's too much for their systems to handle if they're not integrating properly, if they're not, walking through that in a responsible way. And I think that's a real risk, of it's like jumping in the deep end before we're really ready. And I think that we can do it in a really gentle way too, of like, you think about, if this is my comfort zone, instead of jumping all the way over here, it's like there's a term in neuroscience of, I think what they call it, titrating. It's almost like a little baby step where you are gradually building your ability and your capacity to hold more pleasure, more joy, more abundance, more whatever it is, but it's incremental. And so it's like almost a spiritual practice of going, how can I increase my tolerance for goodness, for beauty, for pleasure, for any of this? And how long can I hold that vibration?
Yeah.
Like a minute longer.
I think it's about trusting yourself, because the threshold's going to be different
for sure
for every person. And you've got to rather than take someone's coaching, for example, and jump off the deep end.
Yeah.
Going, okay, I could do what they say, but that's not what's my intuition's telling me. That's not what my body's telling me. So I'm going to go to as far as I can be stretched. And it's like, when you go to the gym and you're lifting weights and the muscle's tearing, like, you don't want to lift 5 times what you can lift and like completely break your arm.
Yeah.
But you want to do it in such a way that the muscle's tearing so that it can repair and increasing the capacity that way.
And just, it can be, like you said, I mean, it really is checking in with that intuition. I had a client earlier today, and he was feeling some really challenging emotions that he had been not wanting to feel. And so part of my work with my clients is sort of like being able to read and go, okay, how much can we hang in this discomfort? And there's can be a discomfort in the good stuff, right? It's not just in what we might consider like hard or negative emotions. It can be discomfort in having a good time.
Totally.
It's like before we're like, we got to get stressed again, or we got to, be worrying about a problem back home. But for him, it was like probably 3 minutes was about all he could tolerate. And then it was like, okay, let's come back. Let's go back into the brain. Let's hang out in your intellect for a minute. Give your body a break. Give your emotions a break. Give your energy a break. And so it's like we could just kind of go in and then come back out and then go in and come back out. And we can really do that for ourselves of noticing like, ooh, this is starting to feel discomfort to I'm kind of shutting down or it's too much. And then it's like, come back into the safety zone, come back into the comfort zone. There's nothing wrong with that. And then feeling into it. And it's the relationship with your intuition is, I think, the biggest superpower we could develop.
Agreed.
Hands down.
Agreed. How would you tell people to develop their intuition? What are some practices?
There's so many, because I think depending on if you're using a tool or not, like there are certain things that you could do to practice, like muscle testing, for example. It's a real way to get feedback with your body that doesn't feel like in some ways you're leaving it up to your interpretation. Like it feels like there's something you can kind of hook your hat to.
Yeah.
So I feel like that can be a really beneficial tool.
Let's give everyone an exercise. Could you do that?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So for everyone watching and for those listeners, let's teach them how to do that.
Okay. So my favorite way to muscle test is bringing my pointer finger and my thumb together and pressing them together. So creating tension to where if I stuck my other opposite hand, pointer finger, in between the circle of my pointer finger and thumb and bring it to that point where they connect, I can't break through it. So it just feels like it's sturdy, it's steady. So that is our nervous system's way of saying no, or this is not in alignment, or my nervous system gets taxed by that. So it's just feedback that we're experiencing through our body. Now, actually, sorry, that would be a yes. So then if we let it go all the way through, that's a no. That's like, oh, that didn't hit. That didn't take. But if it's strong, anytime we have an ability to keep a strong muscle, like if I could come over there and press your arm down and do the same thing. And if it was good for your nervous system, you would be able to hold strong. If it was weak, if it was not good for your nervous system, it would drop down. So same thing here. So this is as simple as deciding what I want to eat for dinner. Do I want the beef or do I want the chicken? And that's kind of a silly thing to do, but it's a way of just playing with, resonating.
Yeah.
Like, do I need more protein? Do I need more carbs? I love doing it for that if I can't decide. So anything that I'm having a hard time with deciding, muscle testing can be kind of my first line of defense.
Yeah.
But I tend to do most of my work inside meditation.
Yeah. Okay, I want to do
it
for a minute.
Okay.
So the way that I've had people do it with me before is like to practice the truth. So if I said like what my name is or when I was born or some kind of something that I know is true, is that how you do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so give me an example.
So you could just say like,
my name is Danielle.
Okay. All right. And then you say, my name is Mary.
My name is Mary.
Yeah. So you can start to see, and you really want to keep that pressure there. So you're trying not to anticipate, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just any kind of little lie, I live in Canada.
Yeah.
I live in Nashville, whatever it is.
Okay.
And so you can just practice and get a
22.
baseline. Yeah. Oh man. I don't know that I actually want to go back to 22, but yeah. So you can start to see like, oh, my no feels like this or my yes feels like this. Yeah.
I was closing my eyes to see if I could like help me connect.
Feel into it. Yeah. Yeah. And anytime that this is not like the most objective thing, right? Because we can influence our bodies, all of that. But it is kind of a good little baseline of trying that out.
And it's fast too.
And
you can be
fast.
like, yeah.
You don't need anything. I do carry like a pendulum and I can, do that kind of work. But that's a whole thing to learn and not worth going into. But I think that we were talking about earlier, just when your truth is your truth. So one thing that I think can be really helpful is closing your eyes and experiencing like, what is your yes? And noticing like, what color is your yes? What's the texture of your yes? What does it smell like? What does it sound like?
So to do that, do you imagine something that you're a yes for?
Yes, I guess that would be helpful. So I was thinking about a time when a decision came really easily to you and it just felt like a full body yes. There was no confusion. There was no doubt. It just came through. Yes. And just noticing how it feels in the body. noticing what color it is, what the shape of yes is. Just letting the first thing that comes to your mind come through. There's no wrong or right way to do this. So noticing the texture. If yes could make a sound, what would be the sound of yes?
Or like, eek.
Yeah. Like some people hear like a little ding, or something. You can notice where it is in your body.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I really feel like it's yellow and I feel it right in my heart center, or I feel it in my belly and it's shiny and it's, it's circular and it takes up a lot of space and it vibrates and it spins. And it's like you can start kind of adding all these qualities to your yes.
I love that.
And then you can do the same thing for no. So it's like, okay, in contrast, what does no feel like? What's the shape of no? Where do you feel that in your body? No. Like, what's the color? What's the texture?
Totally different.
Totally different, right?
Yeah.
And so you might feel it like in a different part of your body. It's obviously probably visually in your imagination, you're sensing it very differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that when we're in our mind and we're going through pros and cons and analyzing everything and weighing things out and writing things on paper, our brain is so good at duping us. I mean, it's like, it has stories, it has traumas, it has, our amygdala will get hijacked, right? And it goes into survival mode, playing out worst case scenarios. It's very biased.
Yeah.
The body does not lie.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're in that place of indecision, close your eyes, drop into the body, and feel your way into the yes or into the no or into a neutral, which is just like, it's not clear yet. Wait. Pause. The download hasn't come through. That's okay. It's just like, hang, it's not ready yet. And that builds the muscle of trusting your intuition.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting as you're speaking, as I, in my work, do a lot of stuff on mindset.
Yeah.
And the mindset for me has a lot with intuition. So intuition being one of your mental muscles. And the kind of thinking that you're talking about, like the logical, the conscious thinking. And I teach like around mental faculties. And so much of what you're saying, I have slightly different language for it. But it is connecting more to the subconscious.
Yeah.
And that subconscious mind is the connection with the body. He never lies. And so I'm listening to you and I'm like, okay, I'm like moving the language around.
Yeah.
See how it connects to what
It is the unconscious. That's the language of the body.
Totally.
It is inside. It's like 80% of our wisdom is below the shoulders.
Totally.
And so that it's like getting in
that mental activity is not it at all.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I mean, it's, it's like we need that part of our brain to survive, obviously. Like we need to be able to look at things rationally sometimes. But the best source we've got is that intuition, is in the unconscious.
So good. So good. And the more that you use it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah,
and
100%.
The trusting and and being willing to go against the logic, going against the conscious. And
you get more courageous and braver, because you go, I know what it feels like when I violate that.
Yeah.
And it always, inevitably, like I will at some point. And I'm like, dang, like I had that knit. I knew, And so, but now I'm like, I'm just so unwilling now to do that. Like, it's just like, even though this is probably going to be challenging or hard to follow my intuition, it really ends up being so much easier. And I've really learned to trust that.
Do you know what your human design is? I'm curious.
Yes, I am a generator.
Yes.
3-5.
Okay.
Emotional.
Okay.
Yeah. What are you?
A 1-3 generator.
Ooh, I love 1-3s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 3 in common, and my daughter's a 5, so I'm familiar with.
They're all so fascinating.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm using that in my coaching a lot now. It has been one of the most helpful tools that I've learned. And I feel like I just keep learning. I've been studying it for a while and it's like, gosh, there's so much to learn still.
Yeah.
It fascinates me.
I'm not at all an expert and it's super fascinating and
it really is
a great source of info that can help us.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, cool. Okay. So as we wrap,
it's
been such a great conversation.
So
Thank you, Mary. For our listeners, words of wisdom, anything that you'd like to share, what's new in your world. Well, they'll all follow you on social media, and that's all in the show notes. So,
yeah. I think the thing I keep coming back to in this season of our consciousness on the planet is just more compassion. Like, I've just been really doubling down on self-compassion. And I feel like that's the invitation, is not that we need, it's like nobody needs more tough love. We need soft love.
Yeah.
We need gentle love. We need...
Goes back to the masculine, feminine.
It does.
Yeah.
It's like, I do a lot of internal family systems work and parts work, if you're familiar with that. And I look at all these parts that are activated, or we can think of them as like voices in our head, and just different, like wounded parts, our inner child, our inner critic, And it's so easy to want to judge ourselves when we get out of alignment, or we have these moments and we go, gosh, I should be able to figure this out, or I should, it's like, for me, like, I do this for a living.
I should know better.
I should know, how can I not regulate right now? And it's like, no, what we need is not to be harder on ourselves, but to be radically compassionate towards ourselves, and radically accepting to all of our parts and where they are in the process of evolving, and just being like, oh my gosh, like, this makes perfect sense why I would do this, why I got so anxious or whatever.
And trusting what comes up, and it's coming up because you're ready at this new level of today.
Yep.
To heal it, to transmute it.
Yeah.
And it is different than when you think, like, often I think, oh my gosh, I just dealt with that.
Oh,
It's like, no, I'm a different human today.
Yep.
And it feels like it's coming up again, but it's a completely different level.
No, and usually, like, it's coming up to be accepted and heard and seen and loved, not to be fixed.
Yeah.
It's just like, how can I accept that, like, this is also too part of me, like the grappling with our humanness and the wild acceptance of our imperfection.
I feel like it's challenging to do that on your own.
Yeah, I agree.
That this is where the support of a partner or a coach, a mentor, to really help you observe and stay objective.
Yeah.
About what's happening, what's coming up, so that, and that can hold you in the emotion of it.
Who is, like, I think about like a midwife, like that, just who's like, can just hold you through and remind you, like, you got this.
Yeah.
You can do, like, because it's hard to do for ourselves. But when we have somebody else mirror that, is really a gift and really healing. I have a coach. I have a therapist.
Yeah.
I have a relationship coach. I mean, like, all the support I can get, because
Same.
I forget every day, and I need reminding, and I need to remember.
Same. And I think we're meant to have that support system. Like, you were not meant to do it alone.
I agree.
That idea of, like, rising and I've got this, and that's the old way. That's part of the old paradigm.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that.
I agree.
Thank you. I have 3 rapid fire questions.
Ooh, yay. Okay.
That I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
Okay. So the first one is abundance in one word. Go.
I was going to say wild.
Okay, great. I love it. Like wild and free, like,
Yeah,
because of what you're talking about.
totally. Like, it's just like open.
Okay, good. The next is your millionaire mindset indulgence, that you allow yourself to, like, treat yourself with unapologetically.
Oh my gosh, so many things. I don't have a problem with this, actually.
Okay.
Skincare,
Okay.
nice hotel,
Yeah.
first class,
Yeah.
fabulous food, and as of last year, a new love for caviar.
Ooh.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, the next one. You only have one book that you can read for the rest of your life.
Ooh. Lovability by Robert Holden.
Lovability by Robert.
Get it? Read it.
Okay.
I gave it to every coaching client.
Okay.
He's been a huge mentor for me, but it's all about the study of loving and how to be loved, and just the essence of our lovability and what that means, and how to break down the barriers from loving ourselves and loving others. It's a very spiritual book, radically changed my life.
Okay.
And I've read it probably 7 times, and just always sort of have it available, and we'll, pull it out. And Yeah. Robert Holden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's been an honor, Mary,
Thank you.
to have you on the podcast. And I feel like this is just the beginning.
Totally. Definitely. Thank you for having me.
Trusting again, the match, and that we came into each other's lives at the perfect time. It feels so pure, so aligned.
Totally.
So thank you for sharing your story with the listeners today. Please go follow Mary. All of her Instagram handles and social media are in the show notes. And we look forward to your feedback from this powerful interview.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, and expect abundance. And we'll see you in the subscribers in the Millionaire in the Making, the extra bonus podcast that we filmed just for this. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.